In today's video, I'm going to install a piece of software that transforms your gaming setup into a proper gaming hub. Let's talk about Launchbox. Welcome back to the Underground Arcade. My name is Bronson and this channel is all about gaming, arcade machines, retro gaming, all that good stuff. And I'm busy building my own arcade in my backyard. So what the heck is Launchbox? Well, it's basically a piece of software that's going to take all of our game launches on our arcade machine or our gaming setup or our widescreen setup on our TV, any sort of gaming setup. It's going to take all those launches and put them into one nice interface. So this arcade cabinet here runs Steam for a bunch of games and also a bunch of different emulators for old school PlayStation games like you can see. So it's going to take all of those titles and put them into one nice, easy to use interface. So we're going to do a few things in this video. We're first going to talk about how to install Launchbox, then we're going to talk about how we get our games in there and how we get old school ROMs in there, how we get the emulators running, and then we're going to kind of look through the interface and I'll give you my overall impressions of it. So I've just pulled the PC out of my arcade. It just runs a little NUC box, 8 gig of RAM, nice simple Windows computer, and I run Steam on it and a bunch of sort of other emulators and ROMs for PlayStation 1 and Sega Mega Drive and a whole bunch of things. So I've just plugged it in here so we can do some screen recording in my office. So we're going to go to the website launchbox-app.com and we're going to click on download now. And that's going to ask for our email address. So we're going to enter our email address and then we'll get sent a download link. So we'll click on the link in the email that it sends us and it's going to automatically download the Launchbox installer. It's about 500 megabytes in size. So while this is downloading, it is worth pointing out that we're looking at the free version of Launchbox today. There is a paid version, a premium version called Big Box, and we're going to look at that in the next video. So stay tuned for that. Maybe subscribe if you're not subscribed. Alright, so download's complete. You can see the Launchbox version 13.24 set up in the downloads folder. We will give that a double click and we'll go through the install process. One of those nice quick next installers. We'll see where we're going to install it. Needs a gig and a half to install. Start menu folder, that'll do. And we'll start installing it. So a couple minutes later it's installed. It's now initializing and the first thing we're going to see is a nice welcome screen. Now what this will immediately start doing is going out on your computer and looking for all your different games. And this is going to get games from all your different launchers, from Steam, from Xbox Games app, from the EA launcher, you know, the Ubisoft Connect launcher, like all those annoying little launchers you have for all your games. It's going to go out and start grabbing those games, grabbing metadata, images like you can see on the screen here, and adding them in. Don't make fun of my Steam games here, but you can see it's pulled in my Steam games. So these are just like Windows games. It's going to sort of categorize, and you can see here this Half-Life game on the screen is going out and getting some metadata for that game currently. When you click on a game, you see on the right hand side that it's you know, got all the data about the game, which is pretty cool, and images and ratings and all that sort of thing. So that's pulled all my Windows games in nicely, but I want to start adding some games now for my emulators. So we'll do a couple. We'll do PlayStation 1, the ePSXe emulator, and we'll do some Master System games because I love Alex Kidd, a few other games like that. So you can see in my downloads folder, I've downloaded some ROMs in the Master System. We've got a few there, Alex Kidd, Paperboy, sort of cool games like that. In the PS1, a few games for the kids, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, few games like that. So on Launchbox we want to go up to Tools, Import, and we're going to go Import ROM files and we'll do single platform. We're just going to import one platform at a time. So we'll go next. Now it's saying which files or folders do we want to import. So we'll go Add Files, we'll go to our Master System games and we'll select all of those. Open. So you'll see our list of games here and we can click Next. What platform are you importing games into? So you see it's got a whole bunch of different platforms here. We're doing the Master System. It's already detected that. And we're going to scrape them as Master, actually we'll go Sega, Sega, and we'll select Master System. And this is going to go out and scrape all the information for these ROMs to give us this really nice interface. We'll go next, and you can see here that it's saying, it's suggested we install RetroArch emulator for this, or do we want to manually configure an emulator? So if I already had an emulator running on this computer, I could manually point Launchbox at that emulator. But I'm just going to let it do its thing. I'm going to go, yeah, go and install RetroArch, go crazy. Do I want to move the files from the downloads folder or just copy them? We'll just go copy the files. And would you like to download metadata for the game? So yeah, why not? Let's get all the metadata we can. So here you'll see all the different types of media or images we can get for this game. So we can have like the cabinet view of how the video would have looked, or a 3D version of the box. Like this is, the level of detail here is crazy, but the back of the box, the front of the box, all that sort of stuff, the disc if you wanted. So we'll just go for arcade cabinet, I guess, maybe the box 3D. We'll click on next. We'll skip emu movies, we won't get any metadata from them, and we'll click next there. So this is going to start scanning those ROMs now and pulling them in, so you can see here, ready for import. Pretty quick actually. It's got these 6 games ready for import. We'll hit finish. So you can see it's loaded in my 6 games there, so I'm going to do the same thing now for PlayStation. So we're going to go import ROM files, single platform. We're going to add files. Go into PS1, select all of these. Next. Scrape as Sony PlayStation. So we're going to use the ePSXe emulator for the PlayStation. There are other ones you can use like DuckStation and a few other things. If you get stuck, just have a Google around what the best emulator is for the type of game you're trying to play. We'll go next, we'll go copy the files into my Launchbox Games folder again. We want to search the database. We want to pull all the good images down. We'll go finish. And it'll start importing those files. So now that we've loaded some ROMs in and it's scraped all our metadata, you can kind of get a bit of a feel of how it kind of builds this hub of all your games. So PlayStation on the side here, you'll see we've got all our games with the metadata. So if we click on one, you'll see on the right hand side it'll load like some screenshots from the game and all the information about the game. Pretty neat. You can also come up the top to image group and change the images you see on the screen. So remember earlier how we selected that we wanted the 3D box as well. So we could click on 3D boxes and you'll see it changes here to be like the old PlayStation disc case, which is pretty neat. So like all sorts of different views here depending on which images you downloaded when we got all that metadata out. So we can have backgrounds here, although backgrounds look a bit confusing. 3D boxes I think looks pretty cool. And then it's just a matter of finding a game, hitting play, and it's going to launch the emulator you installed for that game. So this will launch that ePSXe emulator. And we've got a working version of Crash Bandicoot on our little gaming PC now. So I quite like the look of it so far. I imported all my NES games, so Nintendo Entertainment System. You'll see I got all this beautiful artwork here, like all the old neat Super Mario artwork and stuff. If I click on Master System, you'll see those have come in as well. It's basically just as simple as me selecting a game and hitting play, and then it's going to launch it in that emulator we've got set up. I've also got the old controller. I dug that out of a box, so we could go, yep, let's play some Alex Kidd. This is always a favorite of mine growing up. I've never actually finished Alex Kidd. It is on my bucket list of things to do before I die, finish this game. But yeah, pretty cool. You just launch the games, hit Alt Escape on the keyboard, and it takes you back to your games menu. You can also search games up the top. So if you had hundreds of games, maybe you want to import like a whole MAME ROM set, 50 gig of ROMs or something, you can come at the top and search. So we could go Alex, you know, and it would narrow the results down for us. We can also configure this so we can sort of turn things off. So under view, we could go hide the sidebar and hide the, let's say, the game details. And then we get more of like a full screen view. There is that premium version of Launchbox called Big Box, which we're going to install in another video. And that is basically designed for like TV, console style gaming as well as arcade. So it's all sort of controller, joystick friendly. We do have to pay about $30, I think, for Big Box, but we'll do a completely separate video on that because it is quite cool looking. So really nice looking interface. Popped it into my arcade cabinet here and I'm quite impressed with how it looks. But is it worth installing? So I think if you are a Windows desktop PC gamer, this is some pretty cool software. It's going to just take those different launch interfaces like, you know, Steam, EA, whatever it might be, and just put them all in one place. It does have a pretty nice looking interface, and it's good if you play the odd, you know, ROMs or emulators like I've got set up here as well. But for arcade cabinets, it's maybe not so friendly, like joystick friendly. I've got a keyboard under this cabinet, and I do have to use the keyboard to navigate the interface. So I think maybe for the arcade cabinet side of things, Big Box might be better. And like I said, we'll look at Big Box in a future video, but that is what Big Box is made for. It's made for arcade cabinets and, you know, couch gaming basically with a controller. So it's going to be better suited for our joystick control inputs and also not having to use a keyboard and mouse, which we want to kind of avoid having to do in our arcade setup. But all in all, it's a cool piece of software and it's free. I really love the artwork. I love the way, if we grab a keyboard, I love the way we can just sort of go through the different games. Like the PlayStation 3D box art just looks like really neat. And I can imagine if you're more of a gamer than I am in terms of actual Windows games, you know, you'd have hundreds of games in this interface and it would look pretty cool. I'll definitely have a bit more of a play with this over the coming weeks. I sort of tend to chop and change between different emulators and ROMs and software on this. This is kind of like my test machine, much to my children's annoyance because I keep changing their interface, but we will keep playing with it. And then of course in the next video as well, we'll show you Big Box, which I think is going to be slightly better suited for the setup I'm running. If you'd like to come along on my adventure as I build out my own arcade, maybe hit that subscribe button. I got plenty of videos coming up. We're going to get into some more retro gaming this year. We're going to look into some more arcade cabinets. I bought a claw machine recently. I got a whole lot of cool stuff planned this year. We're only sort of just picking up momentum and sort of kicking off this channel. So if that interests you, hit that subscribe button and I'll see you next week in the next video.